Alright guys, so what we're gonna be doing today is we're gonna be using that Express generator. It's a scaffolding tool and it allows you to build and configure small Express application with ease and rapidly. So let's get started. So first thing what we're gonna be doing is we need to install that Express scaffolding tool. So it's called Express generator. So npm install Express and generator, and you want to install it globally so you can make use of that later on in any other directory. Okay, so it got installed successfully. Next thing we need to do is run this express command so we can scaffold up an application. And what this is gonna be doing is scaffold up an application. Yes, so we want to run this express command, and then we want to name our application, which is my app in this case, and this is for this parameter stands for setting up a specific template engine for the specific application. And in this case I'm using, well, I'm not going to be using EJS actually. So there are multiple type of template engines. One of them is EJS, as I previously typed in. Other one is HBS, and the other one is, I think, Jade and Mustaches. So mustache. So those are the different types of template engines, and I'm gonna be using handlebars, and template parameter for that template engine is gonna be HBS. So what that command did is it's just scaffold up an application called my app, and it created this directory called my app. Inside that directory, as you can see, it created multiple files and other directories. So that's about it with this express command. Now let's take a look at this. It's telling you to install dependencies first. So you move to that my app directory, and you install you run this npm install command to install all the directories, and I'll show you exactly what's going on with this npm install command. So what's happening over here is when you run this npm install command, what's gonna happen is it's being handled by this npm, and the npm, the way we are using this package.json. So what this package.json does is it allows npm to handle and manage your application and project and its dependencies. So over here, as you can see, it defines all the dependencies for the application to be used later on in order to make it work. And these are all got scaffolded. These are all the dependencies that got scaffolded up. So when we run that npm install command, it install all these dependencies, and that's pretty much it. If you don't run that npm install command, what's gonna happen is it's gonna throw you error like can I find module this or module name, or can I find express module, let's say. So those are the type of errors it's gonna throw. Next thing we need is npm start in order to debug this application or run this application. And how that's working is, if you can notice the start inside the script, and that's defined in package.json. And so when you run that npm start command, it's going to look into that, and it's going to execute this node command on this www file. And so let's take a look at that www file and see what's going on. Over here we are requiring this app.js, and we'll look into that later. That's pretty much the whole that our application is, or that's where our application is being configured and handled or defined. Over here we are making use of that we are requiring that HTTP module. And what's next? So we are making this port after, or we are storing value for that port. And in this case, what it's going to do is it's going to be calling this normalized port function, which is right here. You guys can take a look into that on your own. It's nothing too big or rocket science. It's just a couple of if statements, and it's just handling the ports. anyways, over here what's happening is it's gonna check, or it's gonna return value for port. If the environment for port variable is set, if it's not, it's gonna return null, and it's gonna be using this OR condition, and it's gonna be using this 3000 default port as a value instead. And then what we are doing here is we are making use of that HTTP module, and we are creating a server on that application, and we're gonna make that server listen to that port that we defined right there. And that's pretty much it. It's pretty much the same as what we defined in the previous video. And yep, that's about it with this www file. Let's take a look at this app.js file. Over here what we are doing is well, the application scaffold up all these middlewares on its own, and that's what I meant when I said it configured all the application by itself, at least the basic part of the application. And what else is there? So we'll take a look into this one by one. I'm not going to be going through favicon or cookie parser right now. Excuse me. So anyways, I'm going to be looking into that just in a bit. Let's move forward with this statement. So this is pretty much the same as it's just defining the application as Express framework, and then we can make use of the Express framework to set up template engine. And over here what we are doing is this __dir name is going to return full path for this app.js, and that's going to be /home/cyclops/document/my-app. And what it does, as I said, is it returns the current path, or it returns the full path for this app.js file, and if that's right here. And as you can see, there's another directory called views. So what we are saying is when you say path.join, we're gonna be joining that full path, or concatenating that full path with this views, which is gonna be like, oh, this path of this, and then inside that there's a directory called views, and then inside that there are templates or views that are being used, or they're going to be used by the application. And that's where we are setting up all our views at. And then we want to set the engine to handlebars or view engines or template engine, whatever you guys want to call it. Shakespeare, remember. What's in the name? Anyways, let's move forward with this body parser.json file, or actually it's body parser.json statement. What that does is it allows it makes the body of the request message available to this request.body object. And we're gonna be looking into that later on, just in a bit, I guess. But for now, let's move forward with this. Now we already talked about the static. I'm not gonna be talking about cookie parser. Now this is an important part. So over here we created two routes for this application. Now let's just name this something else. So now there are two routes. Let's say users and products in our case. So users and products, and now this is gonna be handled by this route. Let's change this name as well. So products, and so what we are saying is every time we receive a request for these two routes, or like product routes, you're gonna be handling request for the product route using this route handler or this router. And if you receive request for users route, we're gonna be handling users requests. That path using users, this user.js module or handlers or whatever you guys want to call it. So let's take a look into this index.js file. Now let's make a change and play around with this a bit, and then I'm gonna show you guys. Let's say GPS, and what I'm gonna be doing over here, post, and you guys will see exactly what's going on over here in a bit. Now what else do I need? Okay. So every time we make changes to this any of the file, we need to rerun this stop and rerun the stop and rerun this whole application. Route is not defined in products. app.js25. I changed it. Yeah, probably didn't save. Anyway, so let's make a first request to that products route. Nope. Cancel. So as you can see, it's rendering this Express welcome to Express page, and where that's coming from is right here. Actually, let's take a look into that. What we're saying is the response to render this index template and set the title to Express. Now we can just set this to product and sorry. Okay, so so let's change that to product title to products, and let's rerun this application and see if that changes. Products, welcome to products. Now what's going on over here is it's rendering this index temp views, and that's gonna be right here. And as you can see over here, title, and that's product, welcome to product. So that's exactly what's going on with this route handler, and we are pretty much saying that every time you receive a request on this products route without any additional requests, additional URL means you don't say anything, let's say product/test or anything, you're gonna be handling that throughout this / route. And if that request is made by using the get method, obviously. Now what if you make, let's just keep it to get, and I'll show you another thing, and then change this to post. Now title to get product GPS. This is just something I'm just testing out. Let's see. And if we make a request to that, we're gonna be making get request on that additional URL to that product route. So we're gonna be including additional URL GPS. Now it's gonna handle that, and since we are making get request, it's gonna be saying get product GPS, welcome to get product GPS, and that's exactly what we define here. And so what this router, it's a Express, part of the Express framework, and it's a mini application on its own. You can think of it as one, at least I guess, but it pretty much allows you to handle all the requests made on specific route using specific methods. So that's exactly what's going on over here. We made the get request, and now notice that we define the same path over here, but the method is different. So now if we make a request using post method, and we include body inside our request, and what else you gonna be needing is the header, because you want to tell the application is that the incoming request is going to include content type to be JSON. So including the body of the incoming message is going to be including JSON object, and that's exactly what we define in the body right here. So now if you make a post request using that, let's see if that works. Bam, just www. So that's exactly how it's working. We passed in some data, that's JSON data, and we received it successfully on the server side, and we pretty much printed out on the page. So that's exactly what's going on. So now you guys understand that we created two separate routes, and each of the routes has its own route handler to handle requests on each of the separate routes. And that's the basic concept of whole this web API is gonna be like. And we will now from here on, like what we'll do is like this route is gonna be handling all the products in our application. This route is gonna be handling all the user-based authentication stuff and user-based data on this server or API. And if you don't have if you receive requests beside these two paths, or so let's say someone make a request to, so let's say / chicken or something. So that's not gonna be handled because we didn't define. And what's gonna happen is it's gonna use this 404. It's gonna generate this 404 error. What's gonna do is create this new object, and inside that is gonna be storing a message called new not found. And then what's gonna happen is it's gonna set the error status to 404, and it's gonna be calling this next function. What that does is gonna be telling the application that handle this object using the error handlers that are defined after this, and that's exactly what it does. And over here what we are doing is we are rendering that error.hps page or the template, and inside that we are passing the error object. And let's make a request and test it out and see what's going on. Let's just call it chicken, as I said. As you can see over here, it's throwing 404 error. So, and the second thing what's doing over here is throwing the stack as well. And if you notice this if condition, this is only going to be executing this part of this snippet of code if the environment for this application is set to development. If it's not set to development, that means it's going to be in production environment, and we don't want to give out the information like stack information, obviously. And that's coming from here right there, and that's the message. So that's exactly what's going on. And if you see over here, message, and then the error status and the error stack, so that's exactly what we did. In here we define the message to be error.message and the error to be the full stack of the error. And pretty much why you would want to give out this information in production is obviously if there's someone if there are like if you give out these kind of information to user, and if there's someone highly skilled person that's being that who noticed this kind of information, that he can make use of, or he or she can make use of this directory structure of this application later on. If you guys, I don't know if you guys looked into all those NS lookups and nmap commands that are in Linux Kali. It's a pen testing tool, by the way, really cool. I've been playing around with this a lot. So you get what happened is that it's a security related concern that being raised here, that if a user scan your server or IP, and then if he finds open port, and inside that he finds something related to vulnerabilities like these, he can exploit against you. So that's exactly what's going on when it comes to security, cybersecurity world. And it's just something I'm playing around, and I wanted to share with you guys. And I actually was playing around with the security of my application as well. So I had some good understanding of that, and I actually enjoyed that a lot. So that's exactly what's going on with this whole thing. As I already said, like overview is pretty much this middlewares, and we are using this body parser.json, so we can make use of this request.body object, so we can handle the requests body of the request messages. And that's pretty much it. Over here again, like we created two separate routes, and each of the routes are being handled by its own route handlers. In this case, that we are using Express Router to handle routes and the request made on those specific routes, based on the methods and additional URLs. And that's pretty much it. That's exactly what's going on with this basic or simple web API, if you want to call it, or web application you want to call it. But as you already noticed here, you guys can make a request and response, and it responds it accordingly. And so for now, that should be it, guys. If you guys have any questions or concerns, please feel free to leave comments or email me if anything. But for now, that's it. Take care, guys.